Thank you so much for being here, guys. It's been such a joy to work with you. And now I feel like we've crossed into friendship, and there's just so much that has happened since you published this amazing book. We're going to talk about Chris and Katie's book, Coloring Outside the Lines, a love story in the gray of addiction, recovery, and redemption. I had to remember
I know it's pretty
that.
long, long-winded.
Yes.
Well, and it's a thick book. It's a big book. There's a
She
lot
is.
that you guys have endured and gone through, and I'm really excited to dive in today.
We are
Thanks for
too.
being
We're so
here.
Yeah.
excited. Thank you.
Long time coming. We've been talking
Yes.
about this. So I want to start at the beginning. I want to know, it's kind of a broad loaded question, but why did you write Coloring Outside the Lines, and why tell it in two voices? Because the book is your perspective, Katie, and
Yeah.
your perspective, Chris, and you have stories told that you experienced together, but from very different lenses. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I would say when we were in the thick of the hardest part of his addiction, and especially like when he went to rehab, there was really few literature that I could find that was genuinely for the loved one and also the person that was struggling in addiction. We also just like in that mess, there's just I feel like also like there's not a lot of people that really get into the mess of everything and that gray area. And so we really wanted to try and like highlight what that felt like for people when you're really struggling with the addiction side for both parties.
can you just, before we go to Chris, and I want to hear your side of it, what were you seeing out there? Because you were kind of,
Yeah.
I remember us talking when we first came together, and you guys came to us with the book concept, and you're like, we just want to tell a story that we haven't read before. There wasn't anything, quote, in the gray, and we'll get into more of what that means, but what kept coming up that you were seeing that wasn't really supporting what you guys needed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would feel like when we were working with the intervention team, they were really encouraging me like to find other resources for myself. Because you're also having your own addiction to the addiction, like when
Because
you're
you're
the
the
loved
loved
one.
one.
Yeah.
Chris was
Yes.
going through the active addiction at the time. You were
Yes.
going through the support side of things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they obviously wanted to make sure that I had my own recovery in this journey as well. So they really leaned hard on Al Anon, and like obviously that's paired with the 12 steps as well. And for some reason, as many meetings that I went to and the literature that I was reading, it was not resonating for me. And then also with that, I found other books around codependency. It generally was more about just like how to protect yourself, but it really wasn't actually helping me address the trauma that I just experienced. And like having the like reading another story out there where it's like generally where I was like, that's me too. And we really, really wanted to press on that in the book of really trying to relate for other people. And we were very, very honest through this book.
That I know.
So, yeah.
Yes. We got some feedback about that, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. And I feel like, with the trauma that comes up, it's not just in the moment through the relationship and the dynamic. It's like it brings up all the stuff underneath it too. And so
Yes.
having support around that, yeah, seems to be very rare. I have, my own indirect experience. And so it's a really beautiful thing that you guys went through what you went through, and then you can provide support around it, because it's the thing this is the thing you didn't have, right? And so for
Absolutely.
you, Chris, what was your motivation? Because you had a different role in all of this and a totally different experience.
Yeah. I think the main motivation behind the book itself was just simply, um, and being the person that was in active addiction and going to rehab and getting the help that I desperately needed. Um, it's not. I guess it's not uncommon from what I was hearing that the person, if there's a loved one, meaning more significant other, spouse, what have you, they're kind of left on their own. I had just stepped into this new role as a husband, and um, immediately, we didn't have that honeymoon phase. So I felt like I had let her down, and the fact that she was willing to meet me in such unconditional love that is required to support somebody in recovery. Once we felt like we got our feet on solid ground, and as she mentioned, the stories and literature and everything out there that we were encountering, it just didn't seem like there was an outcome of a couple in addiction um, that had been successful at it. And I'm not saying that it was successful; it was extremely hard. But yeah, my motivation for this was definitely to. It was the first time that I felt like I could share her side of things because my dirty laundry was out there. My story was out there. Um, when I went to rehab, all I wanted to know is that she was taken care of, and because I couldn't take care of her, and she was anything but taken care of. And so going through the day to day, sometimes feeling like it's minute to minute and how stressful it is, the book just felt like um, the first time I could take care of her in a sense and share something extremely real and powerful.
That's profound.
Yeah.
You guys really took care of each other through that process because it required it. It was so
Absolutely.
vulnerable because in the process, as you know, it requires you to be honest with yourself first.
Yeah.
You can't really put it all out there if you're not first facing it. And I know it wasn't linear. It wasn't like, oh, I've been waiting for this to pour out, and like that's the idea, right? And then as you come up against it,
Yeah.
you got to face it again. It's like all
Absolutely.
over again, right?
Yes.
And so that was, I have to say, I'm just so honored that you guys let me into that process, and your wonderful coach, Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
She's the best.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Best.
Jamie.
You guys have been the best.
I know.
Yeah.
This has been such a really, truly great experience.
Yeah.
So what do you feel on that note? What do you feel like you were able to provide that you didn't find out there through this book? If you really could kind of wrap it in a bow, because I think you have an idea when you go into writing a book and you don't really know till you go through the process. So,
That's
and
true.
maybe this is based on feedback you've gotten, or what is the thing that makes this book stand out in terms of the recovery space, addiction and recovery?
Yeah, I mean ultimately it's two books in one. Um, Alternating chapters of her voice and mine, her experience and mine, over the same topics. It it's really just providing that real life experience that people might refer to as behind closed doors, but factor in addiction because marriage is a full time job and commitment, and so is addiction. So we were, fighting two battles at once, and with this that we weren't seeing elsewhere, it just felt like you share one really difficult to share story or one very difficult to share experience, you might as well share them all. And the truth is, we all have them.
You broke the seal, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yep. But having her perspective and mine, yeah, I think that is valuable.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that the experience or whatever happened, it can have two truths.
Exactly.
You're
Yes.
two people coming. That's marriage, right? Where like
Yeah.
two people are coming
Isn't
together
it?
from totally different
Yeah.
experiences, totally different lenses.
Yeah.
And then again, yeah, you have that layer on top of it, which not everyone can make it through. And watching the way you guys have,
Yeah.
I mean, writing this book, and you knew this part. You're like, we are committed to hitting this head on. We are committing to releasing our shame and putting it all out there, and being free of the prison of holding all this together alone,
Yeah.
right? And you
Yeah.
guys held it alone
Yes.
for a while,
Yes.
For a
right?
long time.
And then now
Yes.
this was kind of the merging of like, okay, we're letting, like, there's a lot you guys let each other into through this. Like you're married, you talk this process and going through addiction and rehab and all that. It does bring out a lot, but this part, it's like it is all out on the table.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
And that was really powerful to witness, and powerful meaning the gamut of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we left really much out
No.
of it.
No, and we learned a lot about each other in
Sure.
doing so. Yeah, like you said, you think you know someone entirely, and you do, but there's so many when you just go through your life and think back on it. There's so many little stories and hidden gems everywhere, good and bad, that you might not have otherwise seen or heard.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And do you feel as the loved one, and we'll get into some jargon, you guys have brought in these concepts of the anchor and the adrift.
Mm-hmm.
Katie as the loved one, the support system, the anchor.
Yes.
Chris as the adrift at that time anyway. And how that works together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you as the loved one being so seen and so heard was probably so healing for you, Chris, too. And I obviously, Katie, very healing for you because
Yeah.
it was, yeah, Chris going through it. Let's get him all the help, putting all of it. It's out there,
For sure.
right? And for you,
Yeah.
you may not even have made sense of how you were feeling. It was like actually
No.
being able to go through the process to get it out there. And I do feel like in the context of a marriage, like, you know, could be a family member, whatever, but in a marriage, that union, you know, the loved one, the anchor, feeling seen and heard can lead to so much healing all around and through the addiction. And also there's so many moments in the book that you mentioned, like, and even, you know, we had done some media together and interviews prior to this. This is our first interview. And you talked about like addiction is not just with not just the way we see the box we put it in, right? It's
For sure.
it's prevalent everywhere. It brought up almost your own maybe addictive tendencies and things you noticed about your own behaviors, and understanding Chris on a deeper level through his, right? Like it can come off, oh, this man is hurting me, this man is hurting people, and
Totally.
you got to have a voice of, there's so much beneath this.
Mhm.
See me as a person.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Much like we all have some level of addiction, or, you know, the possibility. I mean, it's such a fine line. People don't understand how quickly
Yep.
a life circumstance can
Yep.
just go
Yep.
boom.
Yep.
It happened to anyone.
Absolutely.
So you explore, and I love this, both faith and alternative healing paths, which I personally believe are really both very important. How did you navigate that without losing yourselves or feeling pulled in different directions? Like, how did you guys actually integrate that all together?
Yeah, I think faith for us was definitely the through line through our whole story, which was so great because that was kind of like our cornerstone to have. And I think that was so important for us through this whole, you know, experience, was just knowing that we at least had that in our back pocket per se. But I think it was also really great for us to look at these other modalities that are out there for, you know, kind of expanding your soul, your awareness.
Let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So a few things that I really leaned into was the ketamine psychotherapy. I really, and I just want to preface that, like, you really should do this with a professional. I really think that, like, pairing any and all of these things that we're going to talk about with either like a shaman or a therapist is like incredibly important, because there's so much that you're going to release and process through these pretty enlightening experiences. So yeah, for ketamine, for me, it was just so beautiful with my relationship with God. I'll say that for the ketamine, it was really like helped bring me back to ground with my faith a little bit. I like learned with Chris and like the experience that I got really like angry at God, like through like a lot of this. I'm like even getting emotional.
Yeah.
But it like truly like brings out just this beautiful like surrender that you get to experience. Sorry.
Well, you went through so much hypervigilance.
Absolutely.
And to be able to like breathe into a lot of those emotions,
Yep.
of all of it, the sadness, the rage, everything, there was no space for it. It seems like for a long time.
No, oh my gosh, like just trying to keep it down. Oof, it was just a daily occurrence, you know, and you're not having really time to process it because you're kind of going into the next chaotic like process. But there was this really beautiful moment with the ketamine where I had this like conversation with Jesus, and it was like telling me to like basically peel back like my heart in this, like, it was like cool.
Yeah.
I just had this like flower image. People can see like images sometimes. It's really neat. And it was like this flower, and it was literally him like telling me like, Katie Bug, like just keep pulling back at the layers and it's gonna be okay, you know? And it just was like such a beautiful experience. And I get emotional talking about this because like that's how much these medicines like allow you to tap in, you
Because
know?
it's always, not always, but commonly like, compartmentalized
Yeah.
separately when
Yeah.
it's you. I mean, who knows if you'd be this deep in your faith without
Oh,
that opening
absolutely.
and that tool.
Yeah.
And use it as a tool, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
And I think too, we talk about addiction and we're like, oh, and I'm sure you guys were guided like sober, 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 and
Yeah.
there's the gray,
Yes.
like
Yes.
yeah.
You nailed it. And I think like what really is special for Chris and I is like we're still have that curiosity as a privilege, right? Just because maybe it got taken a little too far in some, from what
That's being
happened.
nice.
Yeah. But I just think like don't just push out these other opportunities that are out there for you to like again like tap into yourself, you know? So other modalities that we like looked into is frog medicine, which like
You can name it.
yeah,
We're
so
allowed.
we did combo and bufo. Combo is basically they burn your skin and they put frog secretion on your skin and it opens up your cells in your body and basically you have a purge and you release like all of this built up anger, frustration, even just like the pit of your soul,
Could you
like
Yeah.
feel that when it came up?
yes,
Yeah.
for me it was my anger
Mm.
and my resentment. It just absolutely came out. I would love for you to tell your experience with the combo.
Yeah. And being the adrift, being the one that had been in addiction and was then in recovery when I started, exploring these alternative medicines and therapies. I think first I have to say that it leads back to your habits. One thing Katie does just so well is her self-care level is just up there. She takes care of herself in every single way, educates herself in every single way. And I don't know if mine is just how I was raised or, it's just me being me, but I had never sought out the solutions that might have been available. So these,
Foundation. Good foundation.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very anchor of you, Katie.
Yeah.
Right? How
And,
fitting.
the curiosity as a privilege notion is it's definitely that when you're the person that was in active addiction. So, um, I was hesitant, um, and that was probably because society tells us, are you treating drugs with drugs, kind of thing. But once I experienced it, I can't say enough about it. The combo session that we had with the shaman trained in this authentic, genuine medicine, I will say that that was so powerful for me. It broke down a wall because I fought it.
Mm.
The way that I sought out my sobriety was through what's called MAT. It's medical assisted treatment. And although I was on few, I was on a certain regiment that from a doctor that was prescribed. And um, the point of combo is to release, and to give in. And I had found surrender in my recovery, but for some reason there was this block that I was going to have to surrender basically my physical system. So it was a 2-day process.
Oh,
Three.
wow.
It was
Okay.
3
I'm thinking
days.
like a few hours.
For me, it
Okay.
was 2.
Yeah.
I participated day 1, and then the second day came around, and I really fought it and didn't participate.
And is that because of the stigma?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because as the addict, as the adrift, a part of me knew that the society, the social norms weren't for me, but there was a part of me that you know was fearful of the judgment around it. But on
And
day
look at you now.
What's yeah. On day 3, I really just decided to. We were doing this. It was the last day, and I really went for it. And that was the most profound. It was. This is not intoxicating combo, um, but that was the most profound release and surrender I have ever found. And the shaman, you're purging. That is what the burns and the medicine makes you do. And without getting too graphic, when it happened for me, it felt like a cleansing that predated my addiction. Just something that was deeply rooted in there that needed to be released. And yeah, yeah. So that experience, it was healing in every single possible way. And from then forward, I was able to question less. You still need to be responsible with things and take it in strides when you're ready in your walk. But yeah, that broke down more walls for me than almost anything else.
Thank God for the curiosity and the openness.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Katie leading that.
Yes.
whole
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's interesting, like even with Bufo, I think there's some saying out there that they like, if you seek it, then it's not the right time. But if it finds you in like a natural
Yes.
way, it's like a calling in a way. Yeah. So the Bufo was really, really neat. And it was this shaman that came up from South America, right?
Mhm.
Palo.
Yeah.
Where was this?
So it's actually at our friend Jason's oh my gosh, he just opened it, and why am I blanking on the name of
We
it?
can get information.
Okay,
too.
cool.
I just love to provide resources. So
absolutely.
it
It
sounds like
just
this is
opened. He's
amazing.
fabulous. He's fabulous.
Because the good guys, you never know what guidance you're getting out there.
Well,
also,
absolutely. Yeah. No, him and his partner opened up this really great clinic, and it's like a hyperbolic chamber. They have like red light therapy. They have therapists on hand. And so yeah, with the Bufo, it was this beautiful ceremony. It was during a night, and actually happened to be over like a pink Libra moon. It was really beautiful. I brought like my water to like charge at the really beautiful altar that they had. It was so fun. But anyway, yeah, the Bufo is interesting. You smoke it, and then they kind of pair it with something called rape, and it's a tobacco. And the rape just
it's also
basically
pronounced hape, right? Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think it's spelled that, but it's pronounced hape.
Oh, maybe I just am pronouncing it incorrectly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, a tobacco.
We're not cutting that. A lot of people pronounce it that way.
Absolutely.
I never tried it, but I was surrounded. I mean, I'm surrounded by so many people.
Yes.
With hape. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's like so.
I hear good things.
It was great. I personally have a very low tolerance when it comes to tobacco. So actually, when they kept coming around with it, I looked at him and I'm like, more? Really? And he was like, we're going deep. And I was like, okay. But yeah, the Bufo, so they kind of call it like rocket medicine or like a 20-minute conversation with God because it's very like fast acting. It doesn't last too long, but the effects of it is just euphoric. You obviously want a really good intention, and when we sat down with Paolo individually, he was really great, I think, with that and keeping us like comfortable as well. And basically, it just like, if I can even explain this, it just kind of gets you up out of your head. Everything kind of still feels cloudy. And then all of a sudden it just goes, whoo. And then you like, either for me personally, it was just like crying out, bawling. I was just like yelling to myself, like, I am like, forgive you. I forgive Chris. I love you, Katie. Like, it just was so beautiful. And then I wait for these other couples to go, and Chris goes last, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait for his.
And are you lucid at this? Like, you're just back in your body?
Totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're absolutely aware in your whole body. You have control like the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like waiting for Chris to go, and he has his, and he just kind of smiles. And
you're together?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And we have we're on the floor, and we have our mats. It's really beautiful. And then he just lies back, and I was just like, that's it. Like, that's all you got to really, but again, like the medicine's different for everybody, moves through you differently as well. And it was really great. We like cuddled at the end, and it was really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
what was happening inside for you?
For me. Yeah.
Let's get in there, because
I explained that I had done the combo and it's not intoxicating. I didn't participate in the Bufo. Bufo was kind of the next step in this journey. So I was experiencing it for the first time, and being somewhat of an expert on alternative medicine and all types of medicine, I can tell you that there is nothing I could tell you that would prepare you for that is. It is the death of your ego. You meet yourself in a very blank but beautiful realm, and you are confronted with all your fears, all your questions, and all that you are all at once. And you are given the answers that you didn't know you needed, the confidence you didn't know you needed. And so I do believe that the medicine does find you organically or naturally. And it is great to have an intention when you go set into that. But what I gained from it was powerful. I had so many doubts, questions, and fears that I had been carrying even well into my recovery that was being successful. But feeling like there was more or something I'm missing still, not completely whole. And you just are given this assurance on a level that I can't, yeah, again, I can't possibly explain to you.
Right. Yeah. Was there a God or faith aspect for you, or was it more of an experience of self in a new way, or both?
Both.
Yeah, because isn't that one and the same?
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So hard to articulate.
No, it is.
Yeah.
But you know, if you pray, I imagine that everyone has there's an illustration to everyone's prayer. Where are you? What does it look like? What does God look like? You know, and for me, that's where I went. Um, and the Lord was there with me, not it wasn't speaking as in the way of like actual words, but we were communicating without words. And sometimes we don't know the questions to ask ourselves to get the answers we might not even know we need. And that's what you're given. So
yes, to that.
Yeah.
That sounds so lovely. And I would also love to get into the dark parts.
Yeah.
And I simply just want to know, like, Katie, what darkness became conscious to you that you were holding on to, that you released? Like, let's get into some of that, because you were experiencing a release of that.
Oh yeah.
So what did that look like?
It was really ugly, for sure. I, again, just like, you're just kind of stuck into this fight or flight mode. It's your baseline when you're like both kind of in the addiction and all of the roller coaster of lies and deceit and hiding, and you know, like you're really just trying to like get through it, but your baseline is chaos. And so
As the anchor,
and I think as the adrift, like,
and
really
together.
Yes. Because it's just this chaos of,
it's not contained.
No.
Yeah.
And you just, unfortunately, you have no control over the other person, right? When you're the loved one.
What a lesson.
Yeah. I mean, you can only love so much.
Yeah.
But my problem is with this whole process is I became addicted to his addiction. I became Detective Katie. I was so good at it. I could read the room right when he comes home. I would be like, you didn't go to the gas station. I saw on my map of my air tag. Like, I like went crazy. Like, if you want me to go, you know, hire me for like stalk somebody, I'm your girl. Like, I just went nuts with this. And I hate that it was pills, because they are so small, inconspicuous, and easily hidden. So for me, yeah, I think, and again, just like what I was saying with the fight or flight, I had no point of like actual come down. You know, it just was like, okay, maybe I can breathe. It's been a couple weeks. Things are good. Nope. Okay, we're back up to like, whoop.
Even if it's calm, you're gonna be Detective Katie. Like, why is it so? It's like, when it's too quiet, what's happening?
Oh, when it's too quiet,
or if
there's a problem.
I'm used to chaos. What's wrong?
Exactly.
Yeah, because that is your baseline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, the I think with resentment, it's something that I've actually never experienced before, and it's really hard to understand and process because it's almost like you're grieving somebody, right? Like you're sad and then you're hopeful and then you're angry and then you're like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. And you're like, okay, this was a life lesson. And then you're like, no, why did he do this? And it's just like, there's blame and like, there's so many things and it's extremely layered. And I think I'm still honestly to this day trying to be okay that the baseline is no longer chaos
Yes.
and that I'm not scanning for danger and that I can still scan, right? But it's just with more of an intention
With love
and with love. Absolutely.
and support.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
I know, because that's the other part of it is to get out of the chaos, you have to allow yourself to not want it and not be addicted to
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
and be okay when it's not.
Yeah.
Because I feel this like such calm energy with you guys.
Good. That's good.
You feel so like individual, but also very. I feel this connection.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we have been in the same room before, and it was through the books. You were in the middle of it, like
Mhm.
just I feel it emanating from you
Oh,
both
that's
right
great.
now. And so, yeah, that is a huge adjustment.
Yes.
Like that in itself can bring up
It
more
did.
and more and more. Yeah.
For sure.
And so for you, Chris, like as the adrift, the and I love that, by the way, because why we don't want you guys are destigmatizing so much. There
Yeah.
is gray when we talk about
Yeah.
even in the book title, the gray. I do want to get through what that means. If Chris, you can comment to like what darkness you felt leave you that you were battling. And then I really do want to talk about that gray because that is what I think we're seeking and searching for as support, but no one was talking about it. Right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what do you feel you had an ego death, but what do you feel you were letting go of that was just keeping you stuck in a lot of this identity? I don't want to call it
No, it
addiction,
is. It
behavior. It's
is.
an identity.
It is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, an addict is two people in
Mm.
one. You take on you take anything good in you and form an addiction, and that new version of yourself uses everything to its advantage. You know, it, there there's nothing. An addict is a master manipulator, unapologetic liar, and they become good at them because it's primal, it's instinctive, I'm sure every addict will say the same at some point. They're not enjoying this. It is survival. And in order to survive, they have learned that this is the thing that they need to do. But what darkness was I able to release? I believe that it was self doubt. Um, some of the clarity that I had gained was much that I questioned about myself prior to. I might have been right in, you know? Um, and so, in getting rid of some of that self doubt, um, that was another step in being able to forgive myself. Um, doubt is just, I kind of look at it now, having been through what I've been through, and it is really just almost a waste of time. I know we all have it, and I know it's a real fear, um, but it's a driver of things like anxiety and just fuel to that flame of who you don't, want to be. I'm not saying we can be 100% sure of ourselves all the time, but yeah, I'd say that was the main thing that I was able to not get rid of entirely, but move past a little bit.
Well, and I feel like there's always a dialogue in our heads because
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
humans and that's our experience. And the one that seems to be guiding and leading is the one that is you, that has confidence, that knows who he is. And
For sure.
I think that you're still going to always have not the old self, but the untrue self, or the
Yeah.
conditioned self, or the one that we're handed. We don't have enough time to get into our childhood today. Sorry. So sorry. But they're always there. They're trying to keep us safe. And right, I feel like the self-doubt goes hand in hand with our level of safety, and like, are we sourcing it from outside? Are we sourcing it from our partner?
Right.
Are we sourcing it in like a program which might fail us? Right. And so it feels as though, your ability to stop or at least mitigate some of that doubt comes in like the safety you have yourself, with the trust you have.
Exactly.
Right. And you, Katie, cannot give Chris safety. And that's, you try to control, you try to say, I know where you are, I know what you're doing. And it's a losing battle, because it's impossible. And we know this in a marriage, right? It's like, it just doesn't work. So I think what's beautiful is like letting go of that means you guys both get to kind of steer yourself, trust yourself, and then come together as those people. I mean, and it doesn't mean that it's perfect.
No.
Right. And I want to talk about the gray, because it takes on kind of a few different meanings. But if you guys could kind of distill that concept, what does that mean? And how is that supportive of other, I want to say, couples going through this? Because it's not just you, Chris, that went through it. Like, you guys are going through this together.
I feel like the gray, it's like almost like two compelling truths, or almost like a juxtaposition in the way. Like, for an example, like Chris was in pain, but Chris was also causing pain. Or like, I loved him, but I still needed to find a way that I could find boundaries without self-abandonment, right? So it's like kind of figuring out these really, when you're in the mess, when you're in the hard part of these situations, of like, how can we actually learn how to embrace what's happening in the gray? Because people, when it's so hard and rough, you just kind of want to move through it and dust it under, at least when my upbringing is like, you dust it under the rug and you just, it's there, but it's not, right? Like, and you just kind of keep moving through life. And so I think for us, especially even through writing the book, we really were able to notice that I feel like we did the best that we could in that really dark time to still find that like hope. And
it required you both caring for yourselves, which can feel so separating and scary and uncertain. And I only know a lot of this because I went through secondhand your story about it, right? And I think also the gray, from what I've gathered, can really be applied to treatment. It's like, you got to do it this one way, and this is the way. And if you, as someone who has a history of using any substance, it's like, got to stay away, right? And it's like, you wouldn't be here without, and it's different for everyone,
right?
But you wouldn't be here without that openness, and the gray kind of saves you,
exactly.
Which is like, we always use the term, it's in the gray. It's like, and it's this negative connotation, when the gray can provide more options,
it's
more
the positive sometimes. Exactly. No, the stigma around I've, in my experience, the vast majority of advice I was given in rehab, in programs, inpatient and out, the day I left for rehab, it it seems like they put it in a box. They refer to a book, and
what's the book?
The big book. It has a lot of names. The big book, the blue book, and it's a book of stories, and they're true. And I'm not here saying that the 12 steps don't work, but the gray, it is recognizing. It has a lot of different phrases. What goes on behind closed doors, but it's not all bad. It, honestly, I think speeds things up when you acknowledge the imperfections that we're all dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Just like we have our inner circle of people, and then an outer circle, and then maybe an outer circle, and what you share is different with everyone. I mean, all of those people are experiencing their own version of gray. So, um, yeah, I think that some of our most profound and, I don't know, step forward moments were solely in the gray,
Mm.
that things aren't linear and can be done a number of different ways. So, and I think gray for me specifically was, I was being told that you do it this way, you follow it to a T, your life's going to turn out like this. And if you're successful, you'll have this whole new community. And, you know, I met some of the coolest, greatest people in my walk, but I loved my life before addiction and I didn't want a new one. I just wanted that one. And so for me, I had no choice but to be gray. I took all as much information from all the different sources as I could and formed my own, and that color was gray, you know?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, beautiful. I'm going to ask you both a question to wrap, and it can be a little loaded. So just go with what your heart tells you. I want you to imagine you both are sitting with your little inner child.
Mm.
So we're going to start with little Katie.
Oh, no.
And if you were sitting with little Katie, what would be the belief that you would pray through her life she would detach from?
Ooh. I think it would be, it's kind of like two parts that's coming to mind. The first is just detaching from the assumption and opinions of other people. Um, I think through this process, I definitely tried to be little Katie with the, I tried always my best to have the halo and do the right thing and all, you know, impress the parent, or whatever. And I think through the beginning of that process, it was like, okay, I'm just going to do what everyone's telling me to do and like, cross my T's and dot my I's and like, then he'll be good. I had to really learn to kind of shut out other opinions, which is really hard for me because I'm a people pleaser. And so I would just tell her that like, keep your integrity and keep your head down and just do what you think is best, you know? Yeah. And I lost the second part, so I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
What you want, what you would pray in your heart she would detach from, and
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, little Chris.
yeah, I mean, I almost have to agree with you, but yeah, that's a really powerful question. I think addiction is so much um, trauma, and the substance is really the medicine. Um, so a lot of what you're acting out in addiction is rooted in, it can be as early as your early childhood. So if I could revisit me, um, I think ultimately I would just say that you can make sacrifices and do as you're told, and people please to a certain degree, but make sure that um, your life's fulfillment and your purpose comes first, and not to give too much of your power, or you know yeah, your power away in a way that you can't like keep enough for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a loaded question.
That's a great
No, it is.
question.
It's a great
Yeah.
question.
It's a good one to ask, I think. So we know that you wrote a book. We want people to pick it up. And I think it's pretty clear as we get older and go deeper into our lives that even if we aren't in active addiction or we don't have someone in our family, we all know someone, right? There's always a degree or so of separation, or someone we don't know about is going through it, right? And so I just want to put out there that this book is so supportive for so many people, whether you're in it, whether you're adjacent, or you know someone that is a loved one and an anchor that is going through it, right? It can be a way to support anyone as many degrees away as it is in
Yeah.
addiction, because everyone knows somebody, even if you don't know that you know.
Sure.
You know
Exactly.
someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so where can we find you guys? Where's the best place?
The best place I'd say is our website, just lovethroughthegray.com. And then you can use that handle as well through Instagram and Facebook. And we'd love to connect with anybody. Honestly, it's been really, really neat to see, how many people kind of come out of the woodwork per se, like, because this is just such a like small, difficult, not small, sorry, just like hard topic to talk about and be open about. But it's been really beautiful to see people say that they read the book and then they open up about their like experience or relationship with somebody maybe struggling. And I actually had a really good doctor of mine who ended up putting a loved one of his actually into the same clinic that Chris was in here in Denver. And he just was like, your book really inspired me. It was really cool. So it's just,
The healing continues.
Yeah.
And I just want to put it out there. The book is Coloring Outside the Lines, and lovethroughthegray.com is GRAY.
Yes.
Because we had a few discussions.
Yes.
American,
not Canadian,
British,
Good.
Canadian. And you guys have a really beautiful supportive workbook coming out. Its workbook is such a superficial name for what you guys dive into in there, and it's bringing that color to life. And the gray also can bring up a lot of like all the beautiful colors that can happen through the process and what that looks like, the highs and lows. And you guys are beautifully walking those who are in through addiction or even any type of trauma or anything like in a marriage, whatever is going on. It really is supportive of that, and to really stop people in their tracks to sit with themselves and each other of what is going on, whatever that thing for them might be. So we'll make sure to get that out to people once that's out. It's coming out soon.
It is,
Labor of love. And thank you both so much for being here and having
Thank
such
you.
an honest conversation.
Yeah,
That's
thanks
great.
for having us.
Very
This is
healing.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
You too.